crafters, today we're sharing a fabulous and fun spotlighting technique for your cards that will instantly elevate your cards to a new level. Hi, I'm G with Creative Moments by G and so excited to share this with you. Let's head down to the crafting table. Let's get started. Let me show you a card that we created. Look at this. We have our black and white card, and then we've spotlighted just one of the flowers in this arrangement here. You're gonna love this. It's such a quick card and so easy to make. So the first thing you wanna do is grab you a card. Now we're just gonna use an A2 card. So we have cut this at 8.5 by 5.5, and we've scored at 4 1/4. But I want to remind you, all the measurements are listed over on creativemomentsbyg.com. Now, how do you find that? Go below this video and there'll be a link for measurements and supplies. And you can just press that link or copy it and paste it, and it'll take you right to the blog post. And we hope that we've made it easier for you. So we have our A2 card, and now we're going to turn it, for this particular spotlighting technique, we're going to turn it landscape. Now, something that I have done is I ran out of paper and I wanted to use black and white paper. Well, look at this. I took a stamp set that I have, and you may already have this in your stash or have one like it, and it just does this for us. So I just used this to stamp some cardstock so that I could have it where I needed it to be on my card as a border. But let me give you a tip for that too. You want to make sure, because you want this as dark as possible, go ahead and use your stamping tool. Now we use my Petunia, Mini Petunia, and it is fantastic. And you can check that out over in our Amazon store if you want to. But you'll need to put this in a stamping tool because you want it to be just as dark as possible. Now we're not going to put this right on the top of our card. We are bringing in 2 mats. And our first mat is just going to be 5 1/4 by 4. And we're going to lay that down right on the front of our card. Now, this is a very quick card to make, and so don't blink. Okay, we're going to get some glue on there, and we're just putting down our first mat. Now, our second mat is 5 by 3 3/4. And we're going to lay it down. But before we do that, we want to go ahead and add this. We need to add our stamp, and we need to think about our flower that we're going to spotlight, right? We're using this stamp set, Thankful Garden, and we're going to use this beautiful flower right here to spotlight. And I'm going to go ahead and use this sentiment. So I need to stamp my message right here in the right-hand corner. So I'm just going to bring in some paper so that I don't get my desktop dirty. I'm going to bring in that stamp. I'm going to bring in my Night of Navy because you know I love to use Night of Navy. And tap, tap, tap. And I'm going to put it right here in the bottom right-hand corner. And we're just going to hold it and let all that goodness transfer. Look at how pretty that is. Now I can tell you that I went ahead and I re-inked my ink pad because it was getting a little light, I will say, but that is nice and dark, right? So the next thing that we need to do is take our strip. Now another tip, that stamp is not long enough, so I actually had to stamp it twice and then piece it together. But you can't even see where I pieced it, can you? Nope. So we're going to go ahead and lay this down about right here, and I'm trying to give about the same border as I gave down here. Now I'm going to go ahead and lay this down with some glue. And we all know that we live in the Southwest, and at least for us, we have trouble with the other glue letting me wiggle. I've got to be able to wiggle it around, and so that glue that I just used allows me to do that. So we're going to push down, and there we have it. Now, let's just put this to the side, and let's go ahead and stamp our flowers. Now, I'm going to go ahead and stamp in the Night of Navy. And because it's a large stamp, I'm going to take my pad to the stamp. And we're just going to hold it there for just a second. Now, I want to go ahead and do a little portion of this one right here. So I'm just going to ink that up. It's not going to be the whole flower, just this little portion right here. Now I'm going to bring in my blends, and I'm working with Petal Pink and Melon Mambo. And the one that I want to spotlight or really make it a focal point is this large one right here. So I'm going to color these two leaves and this flower. And you know, when you spotlight an image on your card, it also allows you to create this card very easily, very quickly. You don't have to color the entire flower. As I color, the way I want to do it is, because I'm using Night of Navy, I let that dry really well. I am also going to flood the flower with my lightest color first. So I'm going to use my brush nib. Now, the reason I like to lead with my lightest color is I like to saturate that area. And then I'm going to come in with just the light Melon Mambo. And I'm going to just give a little bit, just like this. Now, one thing about these alcohol markers is that they can very easily be manipulated. So we don't like that line, I know, but we can get rid of that line very easily. I'm going to come in with my dark now, and I'm just going to go at the base right here. Okay. And now I'm going to take this light color again, and I'm going to go over these lines, and the alcohols are going to blend together. It's going to lift a little bit of the color, and you won't see that line as much anymore. So let's just go over it. Once that alcohol dries, it's going to pull the color, and it's going to be so pretty. And as it continues to dry, it's going to pull that color out and lighten it up. And now we're going to bring in Granny Apple, and we're going to do the same thing to these two leaves right here. I'm going to start with the light. And I'm just going to go into the veins with the pencil nib, and I'm going to trace over them. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out for the front of our card. So we have both of our flowers cut out. Now look at that. So pretty, right? Okay, now let's bring in our card. We already have our first mat laid down. We have our top mat, and we are just going to lay down our flowers now. Now remember, this is spotlighting, so you don't color everything. You only color part of it that you really want to spotlight. So let's go ahead and raise this up on dimensionals. And decide exactly where you want it. So I'm going to go ahead and just put it about right there. We're going to add this one, but we want to make sure we leave that leaf exposed. So let's bring it down just a little bit, just like that. And let's go ahead and put some dimensionals right here on the right-hand side. So we know that we need them about right here. Like that. And I'm going to snip off this bottom right there. So turn it over, just snip it off. We're going to add it to the front of our card. Now look at that. Oh, just gorgeous. We're just going to use our glue to lay this down. Just a little tip here. Sometimes you really don't need a lot of color in your card, right? Just a little spotlight can steal the whole show. Now let's see if we can find just a few gems to put on this side. Now let's do the inside of our card. We're going to stick with the black and the white matte, just keeping it simple. Now make sure you stay with us to the end because I want to discuss 2 more cards with you that we have created using this spotlighting technique. So let's open this up and just add it. Now you can, if you want to, add some additional flowers and spotlight them as well, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to make the front of our card the star of the show. So look at that. What do you think about that? I love spotlighting. There's many ways to spotlight, but I particularly like it when you take just one of the images and you color it. But we want to make another card. Do you want to join us? Let's do this. Now the next card that we're going to make, we're going to use Layers of Beauty, and we're using birthday celebrations for the sentiment. But remember, I'm sure you have some flowers. Use those if you don't have these stamp sets. Once again, we're going to take an A2 card, but this time it's a top fold card. And that is simply 11 by 4 1/4 scored at 5 1/2. So we're going to take this, and we found us some striped paper because we're also working with our black and white to really help us showcase our spotlighted images. And we're just going to take that and we're going to lay it right down in the middle just to make our spotlighted images pop. So let's go ahead and get that laid down. I'm going to use wet glue because I want to wiggle. Get it exactly where I want it. And because this strip runs all the way from the top to the bottom, it's very easy to get on there straight because you're just lining it up with the edge of the card. Now, the next thing we're going to do, we have stamped our flower. Now look at this. This flower is a very large stamp. Here it is. It also has the die to cut it out, but here's the stamp. As you can see, it's very large. We only wanted to use a portion of it. So we are going to add it just like this to the front of our card. But what we're going to spotlight is this large rose right here. And what we did is we actually had this in our stash. We had stamped this and we didn't quite get it all stamped. So I thought, well, now wait a minute. Let's go ahead and use this part of it to spotlight. So we're going to go ahead and color this using our blends. So I'm going to bring this in. Once again, we're going to use all the same blends. So we're going to use Melon Mambo, we're going to use Petal Pink, and I'm going to color these leaves and maybe some down here just in case I decide to keep them. So let's get to coloring. This time I'm going to just color the tip of it, just like this. I'm going to go around the edges with the Petal Pink, just to kind of tip the flower. And now I'm going to come back in with the light Melon Mambo, and I'm just going to color it just a little bit. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is we want to cut this apart from this larger arrangement. So let's bring in our scissors and just cut around it. Okay, let's get these glued down to each other. Now we're going to bring this in and we're going to set it up on some dimensionals. Go ahead and get this centered. And if you're worried about it being straight, bring in your T-ruler. Just line that up. And we can see that it's straight, so we can push down. Now, before we add our final touches, let's go ahead and put our mats on the inside. We're going to stamp our top mat with Let's Make a Wish because it is a birthday card. Tap, tap, tap. And now we're ready to add our spotlighted image, but then we have our happy birthday that we're going to add on top. Let's go ahead and add our dimensionals to our rose and find out exactly where this goes and just add to the top. Look at that. Oh, just makes it pop, right? Now we need to add happy birthday just across it, just like that. Oh, and look at this card. So easy. Saved us time because we didn't color the entire picture, but spotlighting just made the front of this card pop. Let's look at all our cards. So we have this one. We created this one. And you know, we're going to add some black dots to this one just to make it pop, really. Let's do that. And they're kind of gray, kind of. I do believe these cards really pop. Now, remember I showed you this one where we spotlighted one. You open it up and we have spotlighted it again with a sunflower. And finally, we have this one. Look at this. So pretty. We've spotlighted just this one area and this one leaf. We've matted the inside. So take a moment and leave a comment. Which of these designs do you like the best? And let me know what you think about spotlighting. Yes, there are many different ways to spotlight. Spotlighting, you can actually do a circle and you can do a frame around the area that you've spotlighted. So many ways to do spotlighting just to create that focal point on your image. Well, we hope that you enjoyed this technique. We loved creating these cards for you. If you haven't already, take a moment, like, share, and subscribe. It only takes a second. And until next time, Maudie and I wish you lots of creative moments. Bye-bye.